on behalf of the People's Progressive Party, thank all of you for being here tonight. I know you came here since 5:30, and some of you 5 o'clock. And I do not intend to keep you for very long. You've heard from Anil and the other speakers, and I wish that more speakers would do what Anil did. He outlined the history of transformation on the East Coast and in your communities. Because too often we just hear about the more recent accomplishments of the People's Progressive Party. And it's important that we have that context. So tonight, I'm going to just spend a few minutes talking about some critical issues that I think we have to address. Now, I had a meeting, in fact, a press conference today. I spoke for about 3 hours at that press conference. And if you were to look at it, there were many members of a particular side of the media that has always been critical of the People's Progressive Party. It's as though they want to disappear our accomplishments. They want to constantly characterize us as failures, and they promote the other political parties with their little accomplishments or no accomplishment. They seek to magnify those and downplay their faults. So several times today, I was asked, what if the PPP becomes a minority government like 2011? And I refused to answer it because it was a hypothetical question, and it was a question designed to print a headline tomorrow that the General Secretary of the PPP is worried that we may become a minority government like we had in 2011. Well, they're just dreaming, because on the 1st of September, we will have not just a victory, but a massive victory in Guyana, right across Guyana. They started off with saying Azruddin Mohammed that he'll win the elections. Now they know that this will not happen. APNU too knows that we'll win the presidency. But they're all aiming that their turnout would be low, that somehow people would be misled by their lies, and that we will not get the majority in the parliament. So our people have to be conscious about this. And they have to make sure that we do not repeat the mistakes of 2011 and 2015, when many people stayed home because of complacency. Others stayed away from the polls because of false promises. Some voted against us, like the sugar workers and the rice farmers, because they thought that APNU will change their lives. And so again, they're at it. They love the fishermen, they love the sugar workers, they love the farmers, they love the young people, they love everyone once again. But you know what will happen should they get back into office. So we go to these elections immensely stronger. We are immensely stronger compared to 2020. In 2020, things were stacked against us. They were using the army, the police, to try to coerce people. They spent $419 billion without parliamentary approval. They controlled the entire media. They were trying through not only to steal the elections, but they sought through a judicial process to thwart the will of the people. And we prevailed through all of it. We prevailed because we are a strong party, we are a resilient party, and we prevailed because of you, our supporters. I recall here on the East Coast, when nights before the elections were held, I met with the Commonwealth team. The head of the Commonwealth Observer team was Owen Arthur, the Prime Minister of Barbados. He passed away. And we were complaining about polling places. They were moving voters from Fowles to vote in Paradise. Here at Mon Repos and the other places, they were moving the voters far away from the polling places. And night before the elections, or just nights before the election, we managed to change that situation. And I remember on election day, here on the East Coast, teams of APNU supporters came out, provoked many of our supporters, were trying to spread rumors to try to get them to come out the lines, to go back home. They made the conditions of voting inhospitable, putting people on tarmacs with no shed there or no shade. And our people stood up there, some of them for long hours. We shared water to them, and they were strong. The East Coast stood very, very, very strong on that day. And that's why I have great faith in you on election day. Because if you did not stand up strong on that day, we would not have been in power. This country would have been a very different place. We would have been a pariah state because APNU lacks a basic skill that you need to run a country. That is management skills. First of all, oil money or no oil money, if you're clueless about managing a country, then things will always deteriorate. And that is what would have happened in these 5 years had APNU won the elections. So I want to warn you again. They're back at spreading rumors. They're going to provoke everyone. You have to talk to every member of your community. You have to remind them of what could have been had you not stood strong in this country, and particularly here on the East Coast. You have to make sure, as Anil said, that we mobilize every last voter to come out, because elections are won only after the votes are counted. And now, with the changes we've made in the Representation of the People's Act, we are going to the elections now. They can't pull the same stunts that they did in the past. The SOPs have to be published. Every 400 voters would have one polling place. It has to be within close proximity to where they live. There are serious penalties now for anyone who tries to steal elections. We've changed all of that in the law. So it's up to you that you mobilize everyone in your community and talk to your family and friends across this country. We must take nothing for granted, because they're working to try to bring us down as a minority government. And that is the collaboration we have seen between WIN, that is Azzuddin Mohammed, and APNU. Imagine this week, Norton said Azzuddin Mohammed may be taking some of his supporters, but he's waiting to see what will happen before he criticizes him. 2 weeks away from elections, they have not said a word about the Mohammeds. They used to say the PPP is protecting the Mohammeds and his criminality. Since he's decided to run, they've gone silent. All of the political parties, a lot of Starbuck News and the others, they don't talk now about the Reuters story that accused him of money laundering, gold smuggling, and cocaine smuggling. They don't talk about the murder that he was accused of, or the young guy he killed, or the people that he tortured. They don't talk anymore about that. They used to when they thought he was close to the PPP. They don't talk about the US sanctions and how it has affected people who are associated with him who lost their visas. All of his candidates now have lost their bank accounts because no bank will risk their relationship with the United States of America. These are all consequences of the action. They don't talk that the United States congressmen, several of them said he's linked to Maduro because obviously they have intelligence more than we have. And now recently, up to today, at a press conference, I had to address the question. They've gone silent. I said to them today, if you think the PPP is lying, come out and deny that Nazar Mohammed went to the Venezuelan embassy a few days ago. And if you do that, you prove me that I am lying, I will end my political career now. They have gone silent on that because there seems to be truth between what the United States congressmen have been saying. They are collaborating with the PNC, APNU, and the other parties because they want us to lose these elections. And they will work with the devil to try to bring the PPP down. But we have grown stronger day by day. In the local government elections, we got 2,500 votes more in Linden than we got in the past. In New Amsterdam, another APNU stronghold, we moved from 2 of 14 seats to now 6 of 14 seats. In 2016, we had 2 of 30 seats in Georgetown. Now we have 11 seats in Georgetown. We are growing stronger day by day across this country, including in APNU strongholds. And here, and this is happening because the People's Progressive Party has fulfilled its promises. These have not been an easy 5 years. Not easy. The first 2 years after the 5 months wait, and after they tried every trick in the book to steal elections, when Irfan Ali was sworn in on the 2nd of August, this country was shut down. People could not go to work. APNU had passed a bill to say that if you had COVID, they could come and destroy your property or quarantine you, lock you away. People don't remember that. The country was shut down. We lost 35 to 40,000 jobs after COVID. And before COVID, because of their policies, we lost another 35,000 jobs. 7,000 sugar workers were sent home. Nearly 2,000 Amerindians, people in the mining sector. There was no job. People used to hunt a job. There was no money in circulation. That is what we took over. A country that was going downhill, a country where health was declining, where the pensioners' free water was taken away, the children's grant was taken away, young people couldn't find any place in the government, the joint services bonus was taken away, no housing done in the 5 years under them. And we took a country like that on the decline, and we kept our country safe for 2 years from COVID. We reinvested, we reopened the economy for the first 2 years. And then in the 3 years after, you have seen the transformation in this country. From all the bridges and the roads and the 100 schools we have built, we conceptualized and started building 12 new hospitals. that will make a major difference to people's lives. The one here at Denmore was open already, and the one at Ogle that will be open shortly for women and children. That's the category 5 hospital, a level 5 hospital that would give the best care in the world to the women and children of our country. And it's under construction right now. That will be open shortly. People think it's an international hotel. We kept that promise. We kept the promise to the children you are on education. Not just the free university and the scholarships, but we also went beyond our promises. 8 subject CXC for students going to the public and private sector. So we started building back homes. If you go to the back of the East Coast and you fly over now, you would see a city being built at the back, those villages. Thousands of equipment working there. They've created a lot of problems for the villages too, because the trucks have to drive through to get down to the back there. But eventually, you would see those schemes emerge like Diamond. When I went to Diamond, it was all cane field. I was president at that time. There was not a single house there. And we built the first house right at the back of Diamond. Now Diamond has over 5,000 homes. They have hospitals, schools, a police station, banks, etc. So too will be the East Coast. When we complete this 4-lane road to Mahaika and upgrade the other road, we're also going to build another road all the way from Haslington to connect with the bypass road. There's to be a high power grid that will take the transmission mains that are on the railway embankment now, so that every time you have a vehicle hitting those lantern posts, we have blackout, massive blackout. We are spending $422 million to build these huge steel towers in the backlands that will transmit the power, so we have more reliability in the grid. In the next term, when we complete the gas to energy project, electricity price will cut by 50%. We have struggled, and we have struggled with electricity. Imagine no new investment by APNU. They say you have blackouts now, but no new investment. They didn't buy a single power plant and put it in the place. We came back into office. We have now put in place over 200 megawatts in the 5 years. Then we have a growth in demand, more hotels, more people putting in ACs, etc. But all of that will be fixed when the gas to energy project is completed, which is under construction. Also, that project would allow us to have cheap cooking gas. Now they don't want the project to go. They're criticizing the project. And I saw Norton speaking about supplying people in the next term with cheap cooking gas. Where is it going to come from if not the project that is being built by the People's Progressive Party? Now, this is what's going to happen. So, the 5 years, today, we have now more jobs than we can find people to work. People are coming now from all parts of the world to work here in Guyana. In the next 5 years, all Guyanese would get a job who's looking for a job across the country. They would have better paying jobs. The public servants will see an increase. The pensioners will see an increase in their old age pension, which we double from 2020 to now. It was $20,500 in 2020. We promised to double it. It's now $41,000. It will go higher. Every pensioner will get a transport grant. We'll give our children a transport grant, a substantial transport grant to every child. Because we care grants would be increased, we'd have more school feeding programs so that we can take care of people in the next term. Your communities, every issue. I did 20 meetings on the East Coast, whistle-stop meetings, and tomorrow I have 15 meetings in Berbice, and tomorrow alone with the stop meetings. But before we announce election day, I did 20 meetings from Cane Grove all the way down the East Coast to talk to people about being prepared for the elections. And I acknowledge, I said to them, there's so many things we have not done as yet. Our first term, the 3 years after COVID, was to get the economy going back again, to create jobs for people, to get the infrastructure going, to start back the housing program. That is what we've been engaged with. The next 5 years, outside of the things I mentioned, we have to get help more directly to people. Every Guyanese who apply for a plot of land will get a plot of land, everyone. We will help people directly to build. We'll help people to improve their houses. We will, in every community, when we complete all the roads, we start working on concrete drains. And we make sure that more local contractors get their work, people from the villages themselves. We put in lights in every one of the communities. We've already ordered 100,000 lights. We'll put in security cameras so we can see who's coming into these communities to prevent crime in these communities. We will move to pick up the garbage. Every community, every playground in every community across Guyana will be improved so people can have recreation and lights. These are some of the things we'll work with. Our young people and those who want to start a small business will get a loan, a zero interest loan through a development bank that we'll create. Every group of Guyanese, the sugar workers are going to get help, the rice farmers, those people who are in mining and every other community, and the Amerindian communities too. They're going to see major progress in the next term. So you need to understand that without the People's Progressive Party, the management style, let's talk a bit. Anil mentioned the caliber of the leaders that we have in the People's Progressive Party. And this is vital because when you manage anything, if you don't have good management, then you can have all the resources of the world, but the enterprise goes bankrupt. So let's look at the other side. We have now 5 political parties that will be on the ballot against the PPP. 4 of those parties were from the 2015 to 2020 period. They were part of the coalition. APNU, AFC, another one, Forward Guyana, and a 4th one, I can't even remember the name. So 4 political parties now have emerged out of the 2015-2020 government. Let's look at their experience. I wouldn't even talk about Simona Brooms or Amanza Walton or the Nigel Hughes because they're not making no difference and people see they're all connected to APNU. But let's look at APNU itself. Norton has never run anything in his whole life, even in the period 2015 to 2020. He had a designation without an office. He spent more of his time drinking at a place called Bamba Mali than in office. That is Norton. Juretta Finance, that is their prime ministerial candidate. She was Nagamoto's secretary. And Mai Paul, who is their vice presidential candidate, was a junior officer in the Ministry of Local Government. Now think about it. If any one of you have a small business, would you put them to run it? Much less the country. You wouldn't put them to run your small business because they'd run down bankrupt your small business. And that is what we're contesting again. And then Azruddin Mohammed, he too has experience in spending his father's money and smuggling gold. He's never run anything else. This guy is incapable of even reading a prepared statement. Now your child going to school, in primary school, would do a better job reading or answering a question than he does. He hides from the media. Today I dealt with this issue extensively. How could you ever dream of putting your future, your children's future, in the hands of a person like that? To run a country when he can't even speak two coherent words. And then on the other hand, you have the PPP. Those are the forces stacked against us. Tried, tested, worked for years, understands macroeconomic issues because you have to have good macroeconomic management before you fulfill all of these promises. You have to earn wealth before you can distribute wealth. They don't talk about earning wealth or creating wealth. They only talk about distribution. So if we say we'll give you $10, they'll say we give you $1 billion. They don't talk about how you generate wealth as a country. And that's the difference. So even if they had a great plan, you can't put your future in their hands. They pose a huge risk to our children and to your future. This country, with oil and gas revenue or no oil and gas revenue, will become bankrupt under their management. And many people think that we are flush with oil money. Oil money now is only 37% of the budget. We're now spending more on education, health, and roads than all the oil money in the budget. Because our education budget grew from $53 billion to $185 billion, and the health budget grew to about $169 billion from 40-something billion dollars per year. We're putting in the pockets of our pensioners $20 billion more per year. The children, $11 billion more per year through the cash grant. Public assistance, another $7 billion going to their pockets because of the increases. Public servants, $120 billion more per year. Every group of Guyanese has received benefits. The farmers, you talk to the rice farmers or the sugar workers or anybody. We haven't been perfect. We haven't been able to fix every problem, but we have changed the trajectory. And today, this country is the fastest growing economy in the world. And we are going to make sure that by the time we get to 2030, all of the poor families, people who live in poverty, will get help. Today, I met a group, about 45 of them came from Bell West to see me. And they're PPP supporters, but they still have a lot of needs because they live in an area where they need help to assist with their homes and all of that. And I said to them, this is precisely what our plans are geared for in the next 5 years. Some of the things I mentioned to you here already, how we can change people's lives at every level. We want to make sure that when you have a child, you don't have to worry about your spending or educating that child ever, or spending from your income, because the government will do all that it takes to educate the child. We want to make sure you don't have to spend on health care or hard-earned money. We're going to change the tax system, lower the tax system like we did, and increase the threshold even further so people who work hard can keep more money. We plan to reduce the cost of vehicles or the taxes on vehicles so more people can own vehicles. We plan to assist directly people, vulnerable groups, as I said before, so that their lives can change too, and that we can all move forward. So every group of Guyanese, whether you're wealthier and you're working to invest and create more jobs, the policies would be enabling, and whether you're poor and you need income, you too would receive help. I can promise you, and when we make promises, we're serious about these promises. I can promise you that that will be the focus. These 5 years, you don't know how hard it was. We've been working every day, day and night for 5 years. First 2 years, COVID. And then they think it's easy to put together a plan and get 12 new hospitals under construction, 6 of which would be open shortly. They think it's easy. APNU would not have even gotten one going now. They couldn't even build the bridge properly across the Baruka River, and it's a small bridge like this. You know how many bridges we are building now? Apart from the big one here and in Linden, 2 4-lane bridges. We're now building for the 5 bridges going all the way to Lethem to connect us with the border there. In Berbice, all the bridges are being built to accommodate the 4-lane road from the border with Suriname to New Amsterdam. We're on the East Coast here, all of those bridges on the railway embankment to Mahika would have to be expanded. We're doing about 500 bridges, concrete bridges. They did 1 or 2, and they take great credit for that. To put that together, look how many roads we have constructed. We have constructed nearly 5,000 community roads in this period. Thousands of... And you can get 4,800 of these roads would be done properly. But guess what they will focus on? The 200 where the contractor does a bad job. That's all they focus on because they're negative. APNU going to Linden and they carry the racism there again. They only campaign on racism. They told the people in Linden, we will remove their electricity subsidy. It's a lie. They said, when we got into office, we closed the nursing school in Linden. In 2019, they had 19 students in that school. Now you have about 375 students in that school, and they lied. Imagine going to Linden and lying to the people of that community. A lie that they can go down, they just have to walk down the road and they see how many students are there. Lie. So it's a racism. That's the only thing that they campaign on. And Azruddin Mohammed on sympathy. He's running on sympathy and misleading people. He goes to the Amerindian communities, pays a few people, and then they go around and tell people, oh, the PPP is harassing him. It's not the PPP that sanctioned him. That's what he campaigns on and fools them all the time. But they're not going to make much of a difference in any case because people understand what they're about. So coming back to the key points, we have to be smart about these elections. I came here tonight to look you in your faces and ask you not to rely on the 5 activists who are going around or the 10 people or 15 people. Every one of you, for the next 2 weeks actually, every one of you should play a role. Give some of your time because what is at stake is the future of your children, your own future. And you need to invest a little bit of your time to talk to people, to mobilize them, to carry the message of the party, the unifying message. We're the only party that people of every race, every religion, every gender can find a home in. You need to carry that message. Work hard. Don't be misled by the lies that you're told all the time. The bunch of lies that they generate on a daily basis. And when we do that, show the resilience once again that you did in 2020. Show them that people are concerned about their future. They're making wise decisions about their future. And they're not going to allow these conmen and neophytes to fool them. So that's the reason I came out here tonight. I had a long day talking. I spoke for about 7 hours so far today. And it's something that I really wanted to look you in your faces. Sometimes when you go, you people come out to have a little fun at these meetings and wave their flags. But you can get that at the rally. Next, it's not this Saturday. What's the date? The 30th. On the 30th, we would end our campaign here as is usual on the East Coast, at Lusignan, on the tarmac. We need to send a signal to all of them. That is why every person who is here tonight must be there. I want you to promise me that you will be there. We want to mobilize a crowd that when Guyana sees it, they wouldn't even believe it. A crowd, and only East Coast can do this. The East Coast can do this. Irfan Ali said he'd have a massive crowd at Shortville. Well, let's show Irfan Ali that the East Coast crowd can come out in a bigger way. And we are fortunate to have Irfan Ali, a hard-working person, as our president, and Brigadier Mark Phillips as our prime minister. We are very fortunate. These are people who we should applaud every single day. They gave 100% effort to transforming the lives of our people. And so we are very fortunate to have him in our party. He grew up in the party. He was a minister in my government, very, very competent. He went into the presidency with a great deal of skills, and he has demonstrated that he can continue to lead this country. And there's no comparison between him and any one of the other candidates. So tonight, once again, I know you didn't get a chance to do much waving, but when I come, I want to make sure I talk seriously to you. I want to talk to you. I wanted to look you in your faces and say, we're counting on you. You are the strength of this party. Not just the leaders, it's everybody, all of you. And therefore, I'll see you again, and you will get a chance to shout then at the next rally. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here tonight.